Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well today. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys a comprehensive review of one of the newer lending platforms called Hodlnaut. By watching this video, you'll get a quick intro and you'll learn about the differences between Hodlnaut and some of its biggest competitors like Blockfi, Celsius, Nexo, and I'll conclude the video by giving you guys my personal thoughts on the platform. Additionally, if you're a big fan of passive income, in addition to subscribing to my channel, make sure you guys check out my private newsletter. Every week I give you guys the latest updates on the rates, developments in the industry, and I've even gone ahead and consolidated all the rates across the major lending platforms, making it a lot easier for you to compare rates before committing your funds to any one platform. And I'd also recommend that you guys check out my Discord channel. This way you can talk to my community members, get testimonials from people who've actually used these CeFi platforms. I think having dialogue with my community members is a great way to supplement your research, and ultimately all of this will help you make a more informed decision about where you want to go ahead and deposit your funds. Both the links to my newsletter and my Discord can be found in the description below. With the intro out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this video. Alright, to get this video kick-started, let me give you guys a brief introduction to Hodlnaut. In short, it allows users to earn interest on their crypto deposits. So in that regard, it's comparable to Blockfi, Nexo, and a few other crypto lending platforms which I've covered on this channel. They launched the platform around March or April of 2019, and based on an independent verification done by Crow Singapore, a global audit firm, they have over $200 million in assets under management as of April 12, 2021. In terms of their compliance with regulatory authorities, Hodlnaut is Singapore-based, so for that reason they're certified by the Singaporean Fintech Association, which is an accreditation recognized by the MAS, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And they're also currently undergoing a license application under the Payment Services Act of 2019, and is looking to become the first regulated entity in Singapore within the crypto borrowing and lending space. But I do want to emphasize, under the current laws, Hodlnaut is not required to protect your cryptocurrency and are not required to ensure that cryptocurrency transaction is processed properly. The MAS regulates cryptocurrency service providers under the Payment Service Act of 2019, mainly for money laundering and terrorism financing risk only. The digital payments token service provider is licensed by MAS to provide DPT services, but that doesn't mean you will be able to recover all your money or DPTs you paid to your DPT service provider if your DPT service provider's business fails. And if that's something you're concerned about, you can come over here to Nexus Mutual and buy cover, but make sure you guys read all the details before you take out insurance, because they only cover certain events. For example, they'll cover if you lose more than 10% of your funds as a result of a hack, and also if the withdrawals from the custodian are halted for more than 90 days. But Hodlnaut is doing everything in its power to make sure that your funds stay safe. For example, they recently partnered with Fireblocks to introduce this multi-layer security technology, and Fireblocks looks like it's becoming the industry standard. Blockfi, Celsius, Nexo, Salt, and many other lending platforms have also integrated Fireblocks. And with this technology, they hope to eliminate a single point of failure and insulate against digital asset cyber attacks, prevent internal collusion and human error. By integrating Fireblocks, Hodlnaut users are able to access their digital assets securely 24/7 without any issues. The technology also enables integration with any blockchain and easily adds support for new tokens. And the folks running Hodlnaut do their due diligence before lending out your crypto assets to borrowers. When asked what measures have you taken to prevent loss of funds, they responded, "We have incredibly stringent capital requirements of our counterparties. In any case, we are very selective of whom we lend out to. We only lend out to corporate entities with good credit scores, and all of our loans are over collateralized by at least 130%. For this reason, the risk of default is very low. Like most of the DeFi products out there, we lend to more than one counterparty to reduce counterparty risk." And you might be looking at some of these rates and thinking, how are they able to provide such competitive yields? Well, they lend out the assets they receive to established and vetted financial institutions that pay interest, and to help optimize rates for the depositors, they analyze supply and demand on their available crypto assets to set a fluctuating interest rate that adjusts as market conditions change. Now we're going to transition into talking about the features and services offered by Hodlnaut. Their core product is obviously the interest-bearing accounts. And these deposit tiers is something that they just recently started, but it's a pretty common practice across all lending platforms. But even with these new tiers, their rates are still very competitive. As you can see from the chart that are created across the board, whether it's BTC, ETH, or USD, compared to the largest players in the market, Hodlnaut has the best rates. If you guys end up signing up for this platform and you guys make a deposit, make sure you guys look carefully through the tiers, especially if you're looking to deposit a large amount, because as you go up in the tiers, your yield gets significantly reduced. Once you've made your deposit, you can go ahead and exchange the assets you have deposited in your account. They don't charge any fees for any of the assets that you convert, but I would cross-check the price across a few exchanges, because typically when lending platforms integrate a service like this, the third party that's rendering the service will take a piece of the action. But one thing that's pretty unique about their swap service is the fact that you can wrap your BTC. So if you ever decide that you want to take your BTC and you want to go ahead and pursue yield and DeFi protocols, this platform makes that pivot very easy. And another tool that makes portfolio management a lot easier is this interest payout preference feature. Most other lending platforms don't offer this feature. And that means if you deposit BTC, you'll earn interest in BTC. If you deposit USDC, you'll earn interest in USDC. And to my knowledge, there's only one other platform that offers a feature like this. Blockfi offers a flexible option, but you can only pick one asset as the payout option. So out of all the lending platforms I've talked about in the past, Hodlnaut, in terms of interest payouts, offers the most flexibility. And the reason I really like this feature is that it makes portfolio management a lot easier for me, because part of my long-term plan for my portfolio is to hold a certain amount of crypto assets and also a certain amount of stablecoin assets. And during the bear market, I want to leverage my stablecoin portfolio to dollar cost average into crypto assets. Because by the end of the year, my plan is to significantly reduce my crypto allocation and use my stablecoin interest that I generate to buy crypto assets on the cheap as we enter the bear market. So tentatively speaking, my Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other crypto assets will be earning yield paid in a USD pegged stablecoin. And for my stablecoin assets, I'm going to opt out to get paid in crypto. This way, I don't have to time the market. Regardless of the market moving up or down, I'll benefit from any move. Now that you've gotten a brief introduction and we've gone over some of the core features, let's compare Hodlnaut to its competitors. Now, if we look at the rates, obviously, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Hodlnaut is the clear leader. But outside of the rates, how does Hodlnaut compare to, let's say, Blockfi? Well, compared to Blockfi, it does offer a lower withdrawal fee. At today's price, 0.0075 BTC is equivalent to almost $34. But we do have other lending platforms like Nexo and Celsius, which don't charge any withdrawal fees. Now, in terms of withdrawal time, your first withdrawal is probably going to take over 48 hours because you have to whitelist your address. But each subsequent transaction will be processed every day, 5 p.m. Singaporean time. So in that regard, the withdrawal times are somewhat comparable. But out of all the platforms I've used, Nexo is probably the fastest. I can oftentimes get stablecoin withdrawals within less than 30 minutes. Like Blockfi and other platforms, they don't impose a lock-in period, so you can essentially withdraw your assets at any time. In terms of distributions like Celsius, they give out weekly distributions, and that's a lot better than Blockfi, which gives monthly distributions. The only platform to my knowledge that gives out more frequent distributions is Nexo. They give out daily distributions. Customer service is pretty good for most of the lending platforms out there. And Hodlnaut, perhaps because it's one of the new and upcoming players, is very responsive. You can get a response within less than 24 hours. And they also have a Telegram chat group in case you're looking for faster responses. Now, to close out the video, I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts on the platform. Given that many of these lending platforms are getting their rates diluted and they're only offering the most robust yields for the first handful of assets that you deposit, I'm constantly on the search for quality platforms that are going to offer me competitive yield for my crypto assets. So I was very happy to find Hodlnaut, because once I finally consolidate my portfolio towards the end of the year and I begin depositing my assets across a few of these lending platforms, I'm definitely going to be adding Hodlnaut to that list. Spreading your funds across a few lending platforms isn't just a good idea from a yield optimization standpoint, but also from a security standpoint. Because you're depositing assets with a third party, you're going to be subject to counterparty risk. And in my view, the best way to dilute that risk is to spread your funds across a few of these lending platforms. In terms of customer service, their rep was very responsive. Oftentimes I would get replies within hours of me making my inquiry. And I also like the fact that I could hop onto Telegram to ask questions at any given time. Also, I'm a huge fan of their interest payout preference feature and also their token swap feature. Because in my view, many of these lending platforms in the long run are just going to become portfolio management services. And once the market participants gain more confidence, they start adding more security. I wouldn't be surprised to see users prefer these lending platforms to their banks. And given how busy I am, these features really help out. Rather than me going to a few different service providers to get different services rendered, I can get all the services I need in one single platform. And what's going to make it even easier is the fact that they're coming out with a mobile application soon. In fact, it's scheduled to be released sometime this week. This way, you don't need to be next to a computer. You can manage your entire crypto portfolio on the go. Now let's shift over to talking about the cons. Unlike the other lending platforms, they don't support a wide variety of coins, but I suspect that'll probably change in the coming weeks to months, especially after them integrating Fireblocks technology. And I also don't like the fact that they're charging $10 per withdrawal, because it's already bad enough that we have to pay network transaction costs. And I also didn't like the fact that the insurance offered through Nexus Mutual requires users to wait at least 90 days before they can file a claim. Now, to be fair, this is offered through Nexus Mutual. It's not actually offered by the Hodlnaut team, and it's purely optional. There's no obligation whatsoever. And truthfully, I think that the industry is unlikely to get any sort of insurance products like FDIC or anything else that's backed by the government. I think in the long run, what we're going to probably see as the industry collectively becomes more safer, secure, and credible, the private sector, whether it's DeFi protocols or CeFi platforms, will come up with a comprehensive form of insurance at a very low cost. But until that happens, at least on Hodlnaut, you'll have to get insurance on your own, you'll have to pay a premium, and you'll also have to accept the terms and conditions. And lastly, despite me talking positively about the robust rates, I have a feeling that these rates in the future are going to go down. In my experience, most of these lending platforms will use higher rates as a marketing tactic, and as they acquire market share and increase their user base, over time, they reduce their yield. But overall, I'm a big fan of what they're doing. And like I was mentioning earlier, I'm definitely going to be depositing funds onto Hodlnaut. And after watching this video, if you guys decide that you want to follow my footsteps and also make a deposit, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would use my referral link in the description below. By making an initial deposit of at least $1,000, you'll get a bonus of $20. And like I was mentioning in my intro, before signing up for the platform, if you wanted to ask more questions and you wanted to get feedback from my community members who've used the platform, make sure you come check out my Discord. I have a separate channel for all the lending platforms that I personally use. This way you guys can get user testimonials before you guys commit any funds. And if you're a big fan of earning passive income, make sure you guys also check out my playlist. Not only do I cover CeFi platforms like Hodlnaut, Blockfi, and Celsius, but I also cover DeFi protocols that offer some of the best yields out there on the market. Well, that pretty much wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is CryptoOneStop signing out. I'll talk to you folks next time. Bye.